Hello, 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 assalamu alaikum, ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao ma, chuna shumme, washmale, ohaya, gunzaimis, hi, hugs and hellos. To all those beautiful, amazing people who are tuned into PT World and watching World this morning alongside the very young Shazad Khan and the very stunning Mohammad Makdoom. Hello, Ma, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm absolutely great. My t-shirt days are back, thank God.
I know. We had a bit of a chat and he walked in with a t-shirt. I was like, what are you doing? If you go casual, you have to tell me.
You should have told me, and then, you know, the only lifesaver I had was, oh, well, it's semi-casual. And there was nothing else which popped up my head, but then that was the only word I could actually.
And then it was, you know, what's the point of a crying over spilt milk?
And, you know, then eventually when you've been going to the gym for like a year and then, you know, in between there's a 2-month break just because you don't want to go and then you hit the gym back and you think that the gains are back. You feel like wearing your summer t-shirts as well because that's what the struggle was for the summer bodies.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you've stopped eating and you started going to the gym again.
Yes.
However, your Facebook tells a different story altogether. You had shopping during
well, it's perfectly all right because the size of the face actually, you know, relates to my family and my genes as well. So it's perfectly all right. Thank God.
But no, you look great. But, you know,
Thank you.
Next time we'll do casual together. It's fine. But anyway, I hope you guys are well, and we've got a very interesting show for you today. Like we said yesterday, we introduced a new segment that we're going to be having at the beginning of the show for the next 16 days.
Yes, and that's the only reason why I wore this t-shirt. And
I would have thought you would have worn a Shavak
because
with the
there's a
topi.
great saying on it, and it says that aspire to inspire before we expire, and it's a V as well. So, you know, let's inspire and let's aspire as well at the same time. And since, you know, we promised that, you know, for the next, you know, as many roses are left, I think, probably
2 weeks.
we're going to have this gentleman on the show who's a student of Quran himself. And then he'll share.
And a resident of psychiatry.
Yeah, and a
not
resident of psychiatry as well. And then we'll highlight the teachings of Quran. And in Ramadan, I think that what else can be more blissful and full of blessings as well.
Exactly. And Shazad just highlighted what we're going to be doing. And so today we're actually going to be looking at a surah from the first 2 paras of the Quran.
And that's Surah Baqarah, to be more precise as well. So and for that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we have been joined by Yusuf Raza again. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So shall we? Yes, how are you? Okay, I was going to say shall we start? Yes, how are you first?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I'm doing
great. Okay, so we have a bit to cover, so I think maybe we should get started.
Just get down to it.
So take it away, Yusuf.
All right, so we're talking about the 4th ruku of Surah Baqarah. This is the 4th passage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces to us the human honor. Again, when we look at the traditional perspective towards the human being, it's always something that puts the human being down. Human beings are weak, human beings are impure, human beings are dirty, human beings are sinful, and all of these ideas that we get about the human beings. And when we look at the Quran, we get a very different picture. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces us, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ, that, O Messenger, when Allah told the angels, the angelic company, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing them, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً, I am going to designate a representative, a khalifa on earth. Now, what does a khalifa mean? This is something especially Iqbal particularly picks up on this theme a lot. That human beings are the vicegerents, the khulafa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that's an honor. That's a position of respect and stature that no one else has been granted. Just to get a little bit of an understanding of what a vicegerent is, we all know British India had viceroys representing the Queen. Exactly. In the absence of the Queen is in England and the Viceroy is going to be in the Indian subcontinent, right? So that's what a Viceroy is, but this is the Viceroy to God, representing God on earth. Immediately the angels realize there's something up here. And they say, قَالُوا وَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا. Are you going to create in it someone who will wreak havoc? Someone who is going to create fasad, corruption on the وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاء, and he is going to shed blood.
And that's what the angels said.
That's what the angels said. Okay. The angels are addressing God and they're almost objecting to God. Like this is because with vicegerency, with representation comes independence, liberty. They're going to have freedom, empowerment. Yeah. They're going to have freedom to do whatever they want to. Because you can't have a representation without freedom. And that's something very important to understand with respect to the human being, that we have the freedom to will. We have free will. We can choose our actions. Yeah. We are not bound fatalistically or determined by external factors only. We can choose our own responses. And that's important from every perspective, because if I want to make a change in my life, if I want to do anything positive in my life, I need to know that I have the freedom to do it. And Iqbal particularly severely criticizes the fatalistic attitude that has crept into our religious understanding as well. And he says, pata nahi naam kya hai iska, khuda farebi ya khud farebi, amal se farigh hua insan bana ke takdeer ka bahana. What kind of an understanding of religiosity is? Are you trying to fool God, or are you fooling yourself? You've absolved yourself of all responsibility of action, and you said this is fate. You're just laying on your backside.
Exactly, yeah.
And you have to do the amal. You have to do the amal. You can't just stay back from the amal.
Sorry, I just interrupted that. Let's keep it in English too, because you know you're using certain Urdu words which are not understandable.
Right. So I tried translating. I hope that got across.
Please do. Yeah, no.
Okay. So that's what we need to understand, and that empowers human beings a lot. Particularly if I look at it from a psychological perspective, and we have patients and they think that they are just caught up in all of these things that they cannot control and they can't improve themselves, and there's nothing they can do about their own lives, and that's very, very disempowering, and that's very depressing for them. Viktor Frankl, a Viennese psychiatrist, he also picks on this part of human freedom so much that human beings are free to choose their action. And that is the fundamental assumption, or the foundation of his entire school of psychiatry. And he says that between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space, human beings have the choice to choose, they have the freedom to choose their response. And that freedom,
the will is in between.
This exactly. And this will is what makes you human.
All right.
Biologically determined are animals and plants. Takdeer ke paband jamadat wa nabatat, as Iqbal says. They're bound by fate, by plants and animals.
Okay.
Now, with that, the angels realize if they have freedom, they're going to misuse this freedom. Whatever is probably going on the news strip, when I can't see it right now, but news strip usually starts off with all of this massacre, people dying here, people murdered here, people killed here, the unfortunate incident that happened over the weekend. Human beings are going to use their freedom to corrupt. Human beings are going to use their freedom to encroach on the freedom to live of others, to even kill them, shed blood, all of what is going on in the world today. Angels have, again, the problem of evil is, ladies and gentlemen, not being brought up by philosophers of the 19th, 20th century. It was brought up by the angels themselves when in conversation with God. They said he's going to use this liberty, this freedom irresponsibly, and there he's going to wreak havoc. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and actually before that, they say, we do your tasbih, we do your taqdees, we do subhanallah, and we extol your glory, and we mention your purity. Allah says, no. And we get from there, that's not all that's required of the human being. Because again, one religious perspective tells us that if you're good, righteous, pious, praying, doing tasbihat, remembering Allah, you're all good. You're all set. No. The angels were sufficient for that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them that's not what's recognized, that's not what's required. قَالَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah tells them, I know what you don't know. How is this creature going to use his freedom responsibly? That demonstration is now coming up. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا.
I think that's for all of us as well.
Yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salam all names of things.
Okay.
Now, something very simple, and yet it so comprehensively alludes to all the human ability to acquire knowledge, whether scientific or philosophical. Human ability to acquire knowledge, ladies and gentlemen, progresses through the ability for nomenclature. The fact that we can name things, the fact that we can label things, explain phenomena, and that's how knowledge is preserved, and then that knowledge is passed on. For example, gravity. I say gravity, you understand the entire concept by just me using that one word.
Yes.
And so many things open up. And now building on that, we have our understanding and how what Francis Bacon said, knowledge is power.
We've got too many different disciplines in science as well now.
Exactly. Now all of these disciplines of science, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing this human ability and as if to show the angels, because later on the ayah, the angels are not able to name those things. That's an ability angels don't have. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, see, I told you I know what you don't know. I told you I know what you don't know. This ability, and this is something that is Muhammad Asad, the Allama Muhammad Asad, he's a very famous translator of the Quran, and in his introduction to the Quran, he says one of the reasons why people fail to appreciate the beauty of the Quran is because it goes against what people are used to with respect to religion and revelation. They think religion and revelation is opposed to reason. Religion and revelation is opposed to science. These things just don't go, they're always in a clash. They're always contradicting and beefing with each other. Muhammad Asad says that repeatedly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran alludes to scientific knowledge, human ability to think, human ability to rationalize, calling on the human beings that intellectually ponder over the Quran, see if you can find contradictions.
So then that means that faiths can be questioned.
Yeah. Okay, again, if you question faith and then you receive an answer, that faith is going to be stronger than something which is just uncritically accepted.
All right.
And the way of life that faith expects from you, that cannot be practiced unless you've gone through that process. And we see that process in Ibrahim alayhi salam. He looks at the moon, he looks at the star, he looks at the sun. This is my Rabb, this is my Rabb, this is my Rabb. No, none of them are my Rabb. Right? So that process that the Quran elaborates, obviously we won't have time to go over that. So this is introduced in the very beginning of this passage. And then of course all the angels being asked to bow down before Adam alayhi salam. And that, if we understand the angelic realm to be that realm that is in control of all the natural phenomena. So this is to say that human beings have the ability to harness the powers of nature now.
Very sorry to barge in, but then at the same time, the only reason I've asked you this question is that over here, within Pakistan, within our society and communities, I've seen that a lot of people, if, for example, you ask something about your religion, which you know they might think is a bit tricky, and they'll say that you're not supposed to ask questions, son.
Yeah.
So it's not like that.
But no,
See, the thing
ilm is so important in the
Exactly.
Quran.
See, the thing is, these insecurities arise from our own ignorance
All right.
of the modern tradition as well as our own religious tradition.
Okay.
Because of our and these are defense mechanisms. We're not going to acknowledge that I'm insecure, I don't know what's going on, I feel my faith is threatened. We're not going to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
We're going to say it's just haram, don't get into it.
Yeah.
Don't get into it. The Quran is not that insecure. The Quran is not that insecure. So, this is the first way that this ability that he has to acquire knowledge is one way of him attaining responsibility. And you see, subhanAllah, like I mentioned, Viktor Frankl. Frankl is a psychiatrist, a neurologist. He's passed away in 1997. But he said that human beings, and this is him saying what is best for human psychological health.
Okay.
And he's saying we've all understood the concept of liberty, and that human beings have the freedom and everything, and we trumpet that a lot, and Statue of Liberty represents that. But he says that that's half the picture. Okay. I would recommend a statue of responsibility on the West Coast to complement the Statue of Liberty. And this is him realizing this through his experience as a scientist, that the importance of responsibility and the importance that comes, how it complements liberty. And that's how human psychological health as individuals and as a society is going to be sustained. Toward the end of the passage, we see angels are commanded to bow down before Adam.
Yeah.
Again, ability to harness the power of nature. Knowledge is power. And then what is that knowledge, what is that power going to be used for? That too, that knowledge will teach you. But towards the end of the passage, when Adam alayhi salam is being asked to leave paradise, that state that he is in, that place that where he is, this we'll talk about that at some other time, but we all know that he disobeyed, came near that fruit, that tree.
And what's
And after that tree, he was asked to leave. This was, shaitan was involved in that. We're not getting into the details of those. But what was the message that Allah gave him while he was exiting? فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى فَمَن تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Whenever guidance comes to you from me, i.e. revelation. So we have one source of knowledge, that is the acquired source, what we know as the scientific knowledge. Then the second source of knowledge is revelation.
Don't you think it's the first source, though?
What?
Don't you think that it's the first source?
Again, we're not, these first and the second is not with respect to superiority.
All right.
This is just the order in which the ayat
See,
talk.
that's our way of thinking. We've made everything such a hierarchy.
Exactly. And that hierarchy, we fixed it. Again, if that topic has now come up, the Messenger ﷺ once told the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum, why do they used to cross-fertilize their plantations so as to increase the produce? He just questioned it, why do you do this? They thought he was prohibiting them. This hadith is in Bukhari. They thought he was prohibiting them. They stopped doing it. The next year the produce goes down. The next year the produce goes down. They very hesitantly came to the Messenger ﷺ that, you questioned us and we stopped doing it, the produce is down, we didn't get enough dates this year. He said, Antum a'lamu bi umuri dunyakum. You are more aware, more knowledgeable about your affairs of dunya than me. In this particular realm, your acquired knowledge is superior.
All right.
Then again, this disease of fixing hierarchies in which we have to assign absolute superiority to one or the other, this is what leads to us beefing. This is what leads to, oh, religion is superior, oh, no,
Beautiful
science
said.
is superior. So the Messenger ﷺ made no such claims. The Quran never. Yes, there are areas in which religion dictates, in which religion is superior, in which the moral foundations of human action are going to be on a belief system that scientific knowledge will not have an access to. Will not have an access to. What Iqbal repeatedly says with respect to his, what he uses aqal and dil in his poetry, and how aqal goes step by step, but it doesn't have the ability to reach the truth up front, right there. It doesn't go have an immediate experience of it. The dil, the human heart, the human intuitive ability, revelation helps the aql transcend that gap, helps the human being rather transcend that gap that aql cannot do. So using both of these together, not in isolation. When you use it in isolation, you see what you see in the society, where one faction picks up the one aspect, the other faction picks up the other aspect. We're beefing, the world is chaos, bloodshed everywhere. They're not producing the solutions that they were supposed to produce. They're not helping society the way they were supposed to help. People are going on their own. Human liberty is not checked by responsibility, because the two sources of knowledge, which were supposed to check that liberty and keep human action responsible, they've started beefing with one another.
I think that's very beautifully said, and for all those people who are over here and were actually tuned in, we've got people over here in the studios as well. The thing is, I think it is very rightly brought up that most of the times what happens is that obviously the knowledge we have. For example, we host shows. I think you might probably do not or probably you won't come up with a suggestion that you should probably do it like this, because that this is their acquired. They have acquired knowledge about it. It's their forte, so they might probably be doing it well.
You're actually quite nice about it. Most people do question it.
Yeah. A lot of times this happens that there has to be a bit of superiority or hierarchy in religious affairs, other than what your daily affairs are.
There's a hadith of the Messenger ﷺ that says, "I'ti kulla dhi haqqin haqqahu." Give everyone who has a right his due right.
All right.
And that will be every specialist for his own field. I cannot have a Mufti Saab sit in a medicine clinic and treat allergies.
Yeah. Even though we do have dentists on streets
today.
Even though we do have dentists fixing your dentures on the streets, but it's perfectly all right. I mean, as far as you've learned about it.
If I can just conclude with one line.
Please finish.
Just wanted to say that at a personal level, right? Because of course that's all philosophical and all nice and dandy, but how does it apply to me as an individual? I need to get things of benefit from both these sources of knowledge to lead my individual life. Divorced from either one, I'm a lost ship. I'm a ship without sails, right? So with revelation, Quran guiding my action, reinforcing my morality, strengthening my iman, telling me do's and don'ts, what to do and what not to do, and from the other aspect as well, I'm coming from the scientific realm, the philosophical realm, the knowledge that my human intellect has produced, benefiting from that as well, and taking both of them in tandem as much as possible to live a more responsible life, that I do not harm other people, exploit other people, and which is extremely manifested with the shedding of blood.
Okay, but
before this is very apt because you mentioned the weekend as well, and I was reading some articles on the people within this place, and why would you kill someone? Why would you take someone's life? And religion has been used and distorted. It's really sad. And I apologize if I'm a bit quiet today. I've actually taken an anti-allergy medicine, and I think it was a bit.
No, but then at the same time, you need to be quiet. You need to be a good listener in the first place too, if you want to change yourself or your personality. But
I was very listening.
But do get well soon as well. But then on the other hand, as we mentioned, that we are going to take mails, and probably for all those people who want you to write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of All This Morning. So we're going to pick up on one of the mails, and it's Imran Rashid, and the guy says that, to what extent can we actually go when discussing religion?
To what extent can you take the discussion?
I mean, this question is not literally proper.
No, it is. It is a question. It's saying that, can you discuss religion to the point of
as a layman, again, as a layman, how far, I guess that's what's being said, that if you're not a proper student of knowledge or you're not a scholar, how far can you take the discussion?
I think so.
Right. So, of course, as laymen, when we're dependent on doctors, let's say, for their opinions on things related to human health and all of that, as laymen, we will resort to scholars and books written by scholars for public, for the general public. And there are translations that are done for general public. There are audio recordings of the explanations of the Quran that are done for general public. So yes, we are general public, but like I like to say, Quran is not a luxury. That it's not just for the scholars. It's not just when you have time, when you're free with everything else, then you know. It is a responsibility that even as laymen, because we have knowledge and we go about learning about so many different things in our life to get along. So at least enough to get along, we need to have that much knowledge of the Quran.
All right.
So
Imran, probably, I think.
Basically, you can discuss it as much as you want to, but you.
But learn yourself.
No, exactly. We have to learn it ourselves. We have to do our own reading. We cannot keep relying on other people to
but with
tell us.
due respect to the scholars as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's why you read multiple translations and you then make your own conclusion. And
Yes.
it's how you interpret it at the end of the day too, correct?
Yes.
When you read all the different ones.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, I have to make the choice is mine.
Exactly.
Freedom is individual, but then I will accord that respect to the scholars, and
Exactly.
But we
they
do-
know things
And
that I don't
informed.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
But we do
informed
have a
decision.
responsibility to deduce it alongside our own research, or probably
Exactly.
with our own research. So, with what conclusion?
Yes, so what's the conclusion
we are
of
going
today's
to wrap
segment?
up this segment.
Conclusion of today's segment is that I need to realize I have freedom to choose my actions.
Okay.
Okay, so to make change in my life, positive change in my life, in my society, I have freedom. I cannot be reactive. I cannot be fatalistic. I can't go on complaining, oh, this happened, that happened, I can't do this. First
Alright.
up. Number two, I need to balance that freedom with responsibility. I need to balance that freedom with responsibility. And how do I make myself more responsible? That I do from the knowledge, as much knowledge as I can acquire, both revelation and
Science.
scientific
Philosophical.
and philosophical, as much as I can do, gather them within myself, and that will make me a more responsible, socially contributing member of, like, a
Beautifully
more
said.
contributing member of the society.
Which is exactly what we try to do with our show as well. We try to spread the message, but by I it means an individual. So, everyone has to play their role. But thank you so much for today. It was so interesting. I've learned so
problem.
much. And I keep using the word so, but it was very fascinating. And I hope you guys took something from it. And I wanted to make this one point while I was listening, is that, for all the non-Muslims watching out there, all the people who are not residing within Pakistan, we're not doing this to preach at you. We wanted to highlight the beauty of the Quran and show you that there's beautiful messages. It's not just about violence. It's not about bloodshed. It's not about discriminating and intolerance. That actually it's a way of peaceful living, loving, and as exactly what Yusuf Raza said,
And
how can I make the
yes,
society
and
better?
Islam indeed is a peaceful religion as well,
Exactly.
and we have set examples for that. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are done with this segment. We'll be right back after a short break. Don't go anywhere because it's a good morning.